Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavit Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. There's a clarification. We'll take that up first and then we'll move on to the text. The question is in relation to chapter 3, the Holocaust of attachment, as in attachment to religion. So the question is, human being seeks benefit to associate even with God, as in getting some material benefit. Question number 1. Is seeking trust, reliability, and long association a kind of benefit to associate and build relationship with God? Similarly, is gratitude a reason to associate with God because he is the enlivener, witnesser? Second question. Does one necessarily need a reason to associate with God? Clarification 3. Is association with God not possible without a reason? This question is in the relation to the context of attachment to religion. It depends upon how do we use the word God. It all depends upon how do we use the word God and what is the understanding behind this word God. If I understand, if I'm using the word God as enlivener, witnesser, what is the utility behind that? Because mind always seeks utility. Okay, or mind will associate only where there is a utility. Where there is no utility, mind will not associate. This is the law. Take it like that. Go from here. Mind will associate only where it finds some utility. You will find, yes, I have something for me in this, then I will associate. The moment that something is not there for me, I will disassociate. This is the nature of the mind. Yeah. Are you okay till now? This nature of mind continues in every sphere of life. In all aspects of life, this nature of mind continues. So, even when I associate with God also, the same utility-seeking mind, the same utilitarian mind seeks asking this question. What is in it for me? Are you able to follow? That what is in it for me is the reason that justifies the association. Whenever you associate, you need a reason to associate. What is the reason? The reason is you are the center point in that. You keep yourself as the center point in all relationships. Since you keep yourself as the central point in all relationships, that becomes attachment to. That's called attachment because that is called self-love. You have fallen in love with yourself. You are in love with yourself, and anybody whomsoever caters to that, you will fall in love, isn't it? It could be a person. It could be a. It could be a pet. It could be anything, isn't it? The reason is always self-interest. When we say the reason to associate, what is the reason to associate? Self-interest is the reason to self-interest, self-benefit, self-attention, all becomes a reason to associate. Seriya? The moment that self-interest or self-association or self-benefit isn't there, association goes up. This is how the mind functions. Now we are talking about God. In attachment to religion, what is the self-interest in that? What is the self-attention in that? What is the self-benefit in that? The self-interest or self-attention or self-benefit is you believe that it is going to, you believe that it helps you, satisfies you in whatever way. You follow what I'm saying? Now the question. Now with this background, we understand the question. I started by saying it all depends upon how do you use the word God. And how do we use the word God? The simple answer is, what is the simple answer? In order to use the word God, the simple answer is, I don't know and I will leave it aside. That becomes a very simple answer. It organizes your thinking very clearly. For the simple reason that you don't, know. You follow what I'm saying? Now, having said that, then what is this religion and all that? Where we are trying to develop an association with the rituals, the philosophy, all that. Then what is the role of all that? Then we boil down to and say, all this becomes a preparation to understand God. You will follow? All this becomes a preparation. All this becomes a tool for you to mature and associate with God. Not that you know God. Now we'll go clarifications one by one. Read the clarification. Is seeking trust, reliability, and long association a kind of benefit? Yes. The trust, the reliability itself is a benefit. Correct. That itself is a benefit. Similarly, is gratitude a reason to associate with God? If I say, this is what I meant. Look at the contradiction in the statement. If I say gratitude comes only where I have received something. When I say God is an enlivener or witnesser, what did I receive to be grateful there? Are you able to follow the difference? Other than the contradiction, you should be able to notice. If I say God is the witnesser, enlivener, there is no gratitude. If I say God is the bestower of results, then there will be a gratitude. Are you able to follow? So in order to feel gratitude, I should know that I have received something. Gratitude comes from what? Gratitude comes from where? Gratitude comes only when you realize. What should you realize to be grateful? What you should realize to be grateful? You didn't know what you need. You were not even aware of what you need and what you don't need. Somebody anticipates your need and has provided everything for you. This understanding brings about gratitude. Are you able to follow? Again, I repeat. Gratitude comes only when you understand that you have received. In order to be grateful to God, what you should have received, what you should understand that you have received. Here, the definition of God should not be the enlivener witnesser. Here, the definition of God should be the law. Are you able to follow? There is a law that is main. There is a law that is maintained, there is created, that is maintained for your welfare, and in that law lies your welfare. Therefore, you are grateful to. Here, God becomes what? In order to be grateful to God, you should not use the definition of God as enlivener or witnesser. In order to be grateful to God, you should replace the definition of God with the law, the lawmaker. Are you able to follow? Then only it will be clear. Witnesser and enlivener comes in a different context where gratitude will not come out of that understanding. It's two different things that you mix up. Yes.
I put the word enlivened because I feel that the equipment is being enlivened, the intellect, the mind, and the body is being enlivened. So for that enlivening thing, I am grateful to you. On the angle, I put enlivener.
Here, she is saying enlivener in the sense of enlivening the body, mind, and intellect. The word, you should understand, the word enlivener now is a very theoretical notion, a very theoretical concept. Are you able to follow? In order to be grateful, you should understand your direct benefit only will make you to be grateful. Understand that. Understand that. Then only it will be clear. Don't say enlivener, witnesser. It will not help. Because enlivener and witnesser is to bring about detachment and objectivity. Please understand, enlivener, witnesser will be discussed from the angle of objectivity. From the angle of gratitude, you have received. Enlivener is, you are not receiving enlivening. Body, mind, and intellect is not receiving enlivening. It is there anyway. So don't use the word enlivener there. Use the word gratitude. Use the word. Use your what you have received. And what is it that you have received? All that we saw already. We are not getting into that discussion of what you have received. The body, the internal temperature, the outer temperature, the womb, even before you come, everything is, it's not that you came and then everything got set. Even before you can come in, everything was set. You follow what I'm saying? This is answering the first clarification. The second one is,
does one necessarily need a reason to associate with God?
yes. In the initial stages, you need a reason to associate with God. Once you have reached a very high state of evolution where you can say, I am God, there's no reason. It all depends upon at what stage that person is. Are you able to follow? If you have reached a stage where if you can say, I am God, there is no reason to associate. Now we are mature, we are trying to mature to an understanding first. Here I should be, there is a reason to associate with God. What is the reason to associate with God? If you understand God as law, that's why I started by saying, how do you define word God? And we don't define God as law at all. We cannot understand God as law. We have to understand God means we will move in extremes. Either we will talk about God as in a form, ritual, temple, or we will talk about God as Sakshi, Enlivener, etc. Either we talk in this extreme or we talk in that extreme. Therefore, we are never benefited by the understanding. So, how to derive the benefit, how you should use the word God. Remembering God means remembering law. Obedience to God means obeying the law. Are you able to follow? Why do we use the word law? Law. Why do we keep using the word law again and again and again? What is the reason? from indiscipline. That's the only way to become disciplined. That is why we keep using the word law again and again and again. Why do we have to use the word law again and again and again? From indiscipline, the only way to become disciplined is by understanding that there is a law and you are governed by that, and you are governed by that law, and it is in your own welfare that you obey the law. So God replace it as law. Are you able to follow? So all questions are answered. Venkat, all questions are answered, no? Yeah. Is association with God not possible without a reason? In the initial stages, no. In the ultimate stages where you are God yourself, what is the reason? In the initial stages, there is a reason. What is the reason? The reason is not that God is going to satisfy your likes and dislikes. God is not going to grant your wishes to come true. That is not the reason to associate with God. Then what is the reason to associate with God? Law. If there is no reason to associate with God, you will never know what God is. So definitely at one level, you need a reason. Are you able to follow? You need it. Without reason, it is not possible. Reason means utility. That's all. Reason is a very good word. What is the reason means what? Reason simply means utility. Utility simply means attention is on you. That's all. Self-attention, self-interest, self, self. Self na inga yaru Brahman illa. Self here is not Brahman. Self here is so many Shankaracharyas in this class. Self, they will immediately associate with Brahman only. Yeah. I think I am the only one who can't associate with Brahman. Everybody in the class only associate with Brahman and don't know anything other than Brahman. Yeah. Self here means the little self, the individual. Okay.
I don't know if it is relevant here to ask this question, but even in chapter 4, Yajna Karma, where we say that even through all the activities, the purpose is to remember the divine. So even there, the word divine means law.
That is totally irrelevant, which we are not taking it up. Suddenly she jumped into some yajna karma. I don't know what yajna karma means. Out of syllabus now for me, that is. And for the next 6 months, it is out of syllabus. Shailesh. Yeah. When the wise people finish discussing that yajna karma, then only I will come back. It is too. Yeah. I am going for a spin with the yajna karma now. To an extent where I'm thinking, why this word yajna karma itself was there in the first place. So that's totally out of relevant. Okay. Now we are discussing. What are we discussing now? Holocaust of attachment. The 4 areas of attachment broadly. What are the 4 areas of attachment broadly? Wealth, women, children, religion. These are the 4 areas a person get attached. Women, wealth implies that which you can buy objects for your happiness. That's why you are attached to wealth. Women implies relationships. Women is a symbolic word of all relationships. So wherever there is a, you are in need of a relationship, and that need for the relationship makes you to get attached. So first is women. So first is wealth. Second is women. The third is children. The ownership is so absolute over children that attachment is maximum. Then comes religion, the core. Because before you develop all other attachments, the first attachment that you develop is to your religion. By the age of 10, 12, there is an attachment that has developed. Rest and all comes much later. But what comes first? What is the first attachment which is at the core? Is religion. You follow? That's why Ramtirtha says, even before you know you are a boy or a girl, you know you are a Hindu or a Muslim or a Christian, he says. Even before you know whether you are a male or a female, you know that you are a Hindu or a Christian or a Muslim. That it goes so deep. Because it is so deep, it is the subtlest and difficult to get out. Because it is so deep, the fanaticism is very, very deep. The consequences also. Having discussed all this, what is the antivirus? Antivirus, we discussed it as intellect is the antivirus. And then we went on to discuss, naturally, what is not intellect. Before saying what intellect is, you should say what intellect is not. By the process of elimination, you arrive at the right. The classic Vedantic method of analysis is neti. 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 Neti means whatsoever you come up with, that will be negated as it is not that. It is not that. It is not that. When we say it is not that, it is not that, it is not that, the probe goes deeper and deeper and deeper. So neti is the method by which the probe gets deeper and deeper and deeper. So having said intellect is the antivirus, first you have to understand what intellect is not. Synonymous or misunderstanding with the word intellect is intelligence. And we distinguish between the two. What is the difference between intelligence and intellect? Intelligence earns you to help a living. It's a skill that you develop unconnected to your personality. Intelligence doesn't touch your personality. Intelligence remains at the periphery, the core. It doesn't touch your personality at all. Superstitious Nobel Prize winner scientist. Possible or not? Highly superstitious Nobel Prize winner scientist. So when he is called to receive the Nobel Prize, he will say, what is the color of the carpet? Because the color of the carpet is not to my... He can be superstitious about that. It means what? A person of that caliber of winning a Nobel Prize in science also can be highly irrational and illogical. So we conclude by saying intelligence doesn't bring about a transformation into the personality. So here since we are talking about bringing transformation to the personality, and intelligence doesn't bring about any transformation, therefore intelligence is not intellect. Though in the English vocabulary, in the everyday common day discussion and parlance, both are used interchangeably. Both are used interchangeably. Intelligence is a skill. Intelligence is a skill. Intellect is that which is distinct and different from that. All this I think we studied this topic also, no? Intelligence versus intellect. Yeah, we studied this also. You have information, you have the knowledge that you have doesn't help you, but help others is called intelligence. The knowledge that you have, if it helps you, it's called intellect. You have all the knowledge and everyone is benefited except you, the carrier of the knowledge. That is called intelligence. Second, intelligence is knowledge will not be available to you when you needed it the most. It will be available at all times, it will be available. When you needed it the most, it goes into hiding. Where it goes into hiding, how it goes into hiding, God only knows, but it goes into hiding. So knowledge that is not available when you need it the most is called intelligence. Three, intelligence makes others believe that you are very wise. But inside you know that there is a hollowness, emptiness. When you are very intelligent, others will praise you. How much ever it happens, you will feel a sense of hollowness and emptiness inside. You follow? This is how you put the stapler column. You know what is the difference between intelligence and intellect? Intelligence manipulates. Intelligence exploits. Intelligence is three words I always use. Intelligence manipulates. Intelligence exploits. Third word?
Cunning.
Cunning. Intelligence is cunning. Intelligence is cunning. It manipulates. It exploits. That is what intelligence does. So it knows how to manipulate everything. It knows how to manipulate. Intelligence knows how to manipulate a chicken from birth to death and makes it lay eggs each and every day. Intelligence knows how to manipulate it. Intelligence knows how to manipulate everything. I'm just giving that as an example. See, normally you understand, no chicken can lay egg every day, no? Can it? Okay, if it is laying egg only once in 6 months, what will happen? To all the demand. Day before, newspaper, news. World Cup, FIFA, what is called that? FIFA, World Cup started in Qatar. Since World Cup football started in Qatar, the egg demand per day has increased from 1.5 crores to 2.5 crores per day. It was there 2 days back. Does anybody read newspaper here? Because Ganesh has become a sannyasi. So he said he doesn't read newspaper and all. He doesn't want to associate with the world at all. So he told me very clearly. So asking him is useless. Rajshekhar, patela, did you read that news? Oh, he's also a sannyasi. Huh? Then I am the only materialistic person in this group here. Srikanth, did you read? Oh my, he also doesn't read. Prasad, you read. Did you read this news? Correct. It means how do you manufacture it more now? How do you make it more now? You can't wait for the next cycle. No, football World Cup is only for 3 weeks. By the time the next cycle comes, World Cup is over, isn't it? And before the next World Cup comes, it will be rotten also. Now, what do? Intelligence exploits. Intelligence manipulates. Intelligence is cunning. Are you able to follow? Intellect will come and say, wait. What all the intelligence says, intellect will come and say, what all intelligence does, what all intelligence says, there is one machine that I saw yesterday. There. Swati showed me. See this machine. The machine, in a matter of less than a minute, it can cut a tree, which is 300-year-old tree. It can cut on the spot. It can make it into logs. It cuts and makes it into logs. It cuts and makes it into logs. So in a matter of 1 hour, the entire forest can be wiped out. Logs are made and transported also. What a technology, sir. What a technology. What wonderful machine. What a technology. What is this called? This is what intelligence does. Are you able to follow? It is cunning. It's manipulative. It exploits. So, because having developed this, what it will do with fellow beings, fellow human beings, you develop intelligence on the one side so much, teach everybody to exploit, manipulate, be cunning, and then on the other hand, tell them, and then expect a human being to be loving, caring, sacrificial, affectionate. How does it come? So all this remains very good in paper, where you can give a lecture on that to another, but that individual will not have any of this trait. This is called intelligence. Are you able to follow? This is the last. This is the comparison between intellect and intelligence. Intelligence is always worried about the short-term consequences. Intellect penetrates and go into the law of karma. Intelligence is worried about only the immediate consequences. இன்னைக்கு நல்லா இருக்குதா? That's all. மிச்சதெல்லாம் அப்புறம் பார்க்கலாம். All that we'll see later. As long as it is short-term consequences versus short-term benefits versus long-term consequences. Vedas, Vedanta, the Shastras is always about understand the long-term consequences and then decide if you want this short-term benefit. Others will come and say, இந்த மாதிரி பேசினே இருந்தோம்னா sir, we will not grow at all. You keep talking like this, we keep talking like this, it will not grow. We will not grow at all. Yeah. How ungrateful we are, isn't it? Using the same science and technology, we are sitting and criticizing that, isn't it? People asked me, even now people asked me, even yesterday also they asked, when do we go back to offline classes? When do we go back to offline classes? I said, இப்போ offline class ஆரம்பிச்சா driver கூட வரமாட்டாரு. I said, at least previously for an offline class, at least one driver used to come and pick me up and drop me back. If I start, even the driver will not come because they are asking. They are asking, why, sir? You know why everybody is put on mute? I'm listening to the cooker whistle, isn't it? I'm listening to this, I'm listening to that. Oh, and half the time I don't even know whether people are there or not in the first place. அதுவே எனக்கு தெரிய மாட்டேன்றது. Because it is so comfortable. This is what intelligence does. Are you able to follow? Intellect always says, look at understand the long-term consequences and then decide to go for the short-term benefit. Understand that, and then you have a choice to make. Today, we are so blind to that and making that choice, and it looks very right because it is intelligence. Are you able to follow? Now we have studied the distinction between intelligence and intellect. What intellect is not, we have discussed. Okay. Now we have to study how to develop your intellect. First, we need to understand what intellect is, and in the understanding of what intellect is, we can talk about the development of that. First, you should know what intellect is, and then we can talk about the development of intellect. What is intellect? Intellect is the ability to penetrate. Intellect is the penetrating capacity. That penetrating capacity develops by methods. That penetrating capacity developed by various methods. But what is intellect? If I ask even in this classroom, what is intellect? They'll say questioning, reasoning, thinking. These are all the methods by which you develop. What is intellect? What is meant by intellect? Intellect is that penetrating capacity. By penetrating capacity, what do we mean? By penetrating capacity, what is meant? Examples only can make you understand. That's why we keep giving the same examples again and again and again. Look at the seed, you understand the tree. That's penetrating capacity. What you see is the seed, but what you understand is the tree. Look at your today, you understand your tomorrow. That's penetrating capacity. Are you able to follow? Look at your present, you can understand your future. That's penetrating capacity. To see the invisible in the visible is intellect. The capacity to see the invisible in the visible, that penetrating capacity is what is known as intellect. And when we look at that when we penetrate, that penetrating capacity can be used for selfish, self-centered purposes, or it can be used for lokasangraha purposes. So when the penetrating capacity is used for lokasangraha purposes, it is called as intellect. When the penetrating capacity is used for selfish, self-centered purposes, it can be called as intelligence. It's the penetrating capacity. But the purpose, what is the purpose? The purpose is benefit of life should become better, no sir? Benefit for whom? That nobody asks. It is obvious. It is implied. What? Human beings, my country, my state, my city, my street, my house, Me. Where is the problem? It's very clear. So it all stems from where? It all stems from you. Are you able to follow? So what is intellect? That penetrating capacity used for a larger cause. Why that larger cause? Because while you are working for the larger cause, the attention goes out of you. It is the intellect that can take the attention out of you. Rest will keep the attention on you. Intellect will say, take the attention out of you. It will take it out of you. And where it will place, that you don't worry. Attention should go out of you first. That's all. Where அப்போ அது எங்க சார் போகும்? Are you able to follow? By penetrating capacity, you will understand the moving wheel is supported by the unmoving axle. அதுக்கு தான் intellect. The moving wheel is supported by the unmoving axle. What you see is not what it is. If what you see is what it is, there's no need for intellect. What you see itself is enough. Since what you see is not what it is, you should be able to penetrate and understand it and understand it. This is broadly, you can call it as intellect. Now, we'll technically understand the difference. We'll do a simple comparative study of mind and intellect. Before we go into the topic, develop your intellect, Venkat, a small detour, with your permission. A small detour. A comparative study of mind and intellect. It's very important. In this comparative study, we'll be discussing 5 points. We'll be discussing 5 points in this comparative study between mind and intellect. This should give you an idea of what intellect is. Then we will study what is meant by developing your intellect. First, mind is an equipment where all the stimuli are received and integrated perception happens. This is the mind. Again, I repeat, what is mind? Mind is an equipment which receives the external stimuli. It receives the external stimuli through various organs, not one. It receives the various stimuli, it receives all the stimuli through various organs and develop an integrated perception. That is why you will never get confused about seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and all that. Because even though they are all different perceptions, it's all goes and organizes itself well. This is the mind. What does the intellect do? Mind is that which receives the stimuli. Mind is that which communicates back. Again, mind is that which receives the stimuli through the organs of action, through the organs of perception, and mind is that which communicates through the organs of action. We have studied all this in Atma Bodha, the sense centers, where the Jnanendriya sense center is in the mind, the Karmendriya sense center is also in the mind. I'm only refreshing the memory based on that. It's there in Atma Bodha. So, when the stimuli is received, intellect sorts it out rightly. intellect distinguishes and sort it out. It's like the sorting department in the post office, isn't it? All the, if you have seen the post office functioning, it will be very interesting. 15 postmen from different states, people post office, isn't it? It's all through WhatsApp. That is something is sorting out. Now, artificial intelligence is doing the same thing now, sorting it out. You need to sort out. If you don't sort it out, it will be absolutely chaotic. So what does the intellect does? It sorts out. So information comes in and it gets sorted out. All the 15 postmen will come and dump all the letters in one table. That is the mind. It has from various sources gathers and is on the. Now what intellect does? It sorts out. It examines, analyzes the stimuli received, distinguishes, discerns, distinguishes, analyzes, examines, and then decide on what should go where. This is the first comparative study between mind and intellect. Are you okay? This is the basic understanding that you should have between mind and intellect. Therefore, gathering is as the moment your eyes are open, you wake up, gathering data keeps happening all the time. Sorting it out requires effort. Gathering data doesn't require effort. The moment you wake up, it will happen. Are you able to follow? The moment you wake up, it will happen. Sound will enter, sights will enter, things will, everything will enter. This is the first study between mind and intellect. The second is mind is a continuous flow, like a flow of water. It's a flow of thought. Where we say flow of thought, more the flow, more the power. It's logical there. It is said as the flow of thought. More the flow, greater the flow, the more the power. So thoughts continuously flow, creating a force. It's called Vega, Bhagavad Gita. Krishna calls it as Vega in Bhagavad Gita. A force is created. A momentum is created. That's why people say, I'm helpless or I just can't do anything about it. It just comes and I'm completely overpowered by that. As though something is possessing me, sir. Something is coming and controlling me. I am not able to do anything about it. I just lose. I can't do anything. Why? The Vega. This is the mind. Now, when the flow is directed, intellect sets the direction to the flow. First one is in the angle of receiving the stimuli. The second one is the flow. Intellect sets the direction to the flow. Why? Because mind by itself has no direction, no dimension. It will flow all over the place. It will keep jumping from Astira and Chanchala. Where all we have studied in different places, I'm trying to bring everything together so that you can understand what intellect is. Therefore, thought flow being like that, intellect needs to direct the thought flow. In the initial stages, when you don't have an intellect, Shastras perform the role of an intellect from outside. Remember that. That's why Shastras we don't like. Intellect also we don't like. Shastra also we don't like. And obviously, if you don't like the Shastra, how can you like the Guru? Teju. You can't like the Guru also, no. Because in order to like the Shastra, you have to like, in order to like the Guru, you have to like the Shastra. In order to like the Shastra, you need to like the intellect. So intellect, Shastra, Guru, all becomes one and the same. You can add God also in that list, isn't it? And also God also in that list. So it has to be, since till you develop your own intellect, you need an external, something from external to guide. That external guiding factor is called the Shastra, the Guru. Using that, you should quickly develop and become strong. Using that, you should develop and quickly become strong. You will remain grateful forever. That's a different story. But you should become strong. That is the second point. The third comparison. Are you okay with the second one? Second one. The third one is, there is one thing called the seat of emotions and feelings. There is another ideas and ideologies. There are two things. One is the seat of emotions. Emotions means all types of emotions: love, kindness, mercy, hatred, jealousy, passion, all kinds of emotions. There is one seat of all kinds of emotion. There is another seat. What is it? The springboard of ideas and ideologies. The springboard of ideas and ideologies is known as the intellect. Emotions is of the mind. This is the third comparison. The fourth comparison is in the areas of how they operate, the realms of operation, known and the unknown. The mind operates in the known realms. The intellect penetrates into the unknown, that probing. Again, I repeat. Mind works in the known realms. Intellect penetrates into the realms unknown to investigate, to investigate, to question, to reflect. All this is probing into the unknown. So intellect is that which has the capacity to probe into the unknown. The moment while it is probing, it is unknown. Once it is probed and understood, it becomes known. The moment anything becomes known, it becomes part of the mind. This you should understand. Again, I repeat. You probe, you inquire, you question, you do all that. And then you understand. The moment you understand, the unknown becomes known. The moment it becomes known, what it belongs to? It quickly changes the color and it becomes the mind. The fourth, known realms and unknown. That's why we call it as probing, penetration, creativity, all that. All comes under this only. That's why we say we should be creative. We should think out of the, think out of the box, things inside the box. I don't know what all boxes. Don't get boxed. You should not be in the box. Isn't it? One day, if I talk to Meera, I will learn 2 new words from her, because she only keeps saying all this. From where she gets, I don't know. Suddenly, she will come and say, "No, sir, but Universe, sir. Suddenly I heard universe from her only first. I went, because now I can't ask her what do you mean by universe and all, because she will think, sir, does so. I have to sit and worry now. What is this universe? Universe said so. Suddenly, what is it? So all these new things. This is intellect, unknown. This is known as the intellect. Not that she has any intellect and all. I'm just using this as an example. The fourth one. The fifth comparison is the quality, the nature differs. The quality differs, the nature differs. Thoughts in the condition of doubt and indecisiveness is the mind. Doubts and indecisiveness is of the mind. Where thoughts stabilized, it becomes a conviction. It becomes a conviction. So, what is indecisive? The indecisive character of the thought transforms itself into intellect at another time by channelizing it and arriving at a conviction. When the decisive character is lost, when the decisive nature, when the decisive character is lost, what happens? It becomes the mind again. That's why it is that complicated to understand. It's not that easy to say. We are trying to make it that is. Are you able to follow? That is why we always have this doubt. How do we know it is mind or intellect, sir? How do we know it is operating through mind or it is operating through intellect? At one point of time, it looks like mind. At another point of time, it looks like intellect. What looked like intellect became mind 2 days later. What was thought as mind is what actually intellect is, seems to be. So there is a total confusion between these two. Are you able to follow? The real complication is because even though we talk about it as organs, even though for explanatory purposes we talk about it as an organ, it is not an organ, it is functional. That's why the confusion is. What is the difference between organ and function? Organ means that which has a structure and a specific function. Organ means it has a specific structure and it has a specific function. Eyes can't hear. Ears can't see. Eyes and ears will not operate. Eyes and ears will not operate interchangeably. Eyes will operate separately. Ears will operate separately. Isn't it? Mind and intellect, because of the functional difference, operates interchangeably. Why? Because the differences between mind and intellect are to be understood as purely functional, not organal difference. It's a functional difference, meaning the material is the same. What? It has a function, but no specific organ. What is it? It's thoughts. Thoughts, in one way, indiscriminately, it is called as mind. Discriminate, discernment is called as intellect. Indecisive is known as the mind. Decisive is known as the intellect. Are you able to understand the differences now? This is very, very important to understand. Okay, this is very good, sir. But what is the connection between intelligence and intellect now? That's why I said I'm taking a detour with Venkat's permission. I took a detour. Now I will connect. The mind, which is predominantly of emotions and impulses, etc., can influence the thinking capacity for its own purposes. Again, the mind, which is of its own nature. What is the nature of the mind? Attachment to wealth, attachment to women, attachment to children. These are all of the mind, correct? These are all of the mind only. The Holocaust of attachment itself is a study about the mind only. Where intelligence comes in is the mind will specifically use one function of the intellect. That is why, if you remember, last week I said intellect has two purposes. Connect with that. Srikanth, sonnalla last week adu. Intellect has two purposes. One purpose is to seek and gain knowledge. Another purpose is to monitor the senses and the mind. So intellect has these two. They have these twin purposes. And when we talk about development of intellect, it means both developed. Of the both, what is more important? Monitoring the senses and the mind is more important. Why seeking knowledge is not that important? The moment you monitor the senses and the mind, and that becomes a guiding factor, you know where to stop. Because of the guiding factor not being there today, science will not know where to stop. It will probe and probe and probe and probe and discover, leading to extinction, leading to destruction, leading to extinction. Not for betterment. We hope it is for betterment, but it will end up in extinction. Therefore, intelligence means the mind hijacking one function of the intellect to suit its own purposes. In this way, most of the human beings are very intelligent. Most of the humans are even the child is very intelligent. You know that, no? Even the child is very smart, very intelligent, because it knows whom to go, when to go, what to ask, what not. It knows. It's so cunning it is. And people say with pride, oh, my child is very smart, sir. It knows my moods so well, and it knows when to ask, when not to ask. Yeah. You follow? What is intelligence now? This is intelligence. With all this background, we got an understanding of what intellect is. And this intellect, which is of the penetrating capacity, can penetrate into two broad areas. One area is the world, another area is God. That's why it's called gross intellect and subtle intellect. When it inquires about the world and it is thinking everything in relation to the world, it will be known as the gross intellect. And when it is inquiring about the deeper aspects of life, it is called as subtle intellect. Only when it inquires into the deeper aspect of life, it will be called as subtle intellect. And Shastric study is predominantly subtle intellect, because it is questioning into the deeper aspects of life. What is questioning into the deeper aspects of life means? Randomly, I'm generating thoughts. Liberally, I'm using words. Does all this disappear into thin air, or will it have a consequence? Are you able to follow? Randomly, I'm generating thoughts. What isn't it? You say stop, it doesn't. You say stop, it doesn't stop. More you say stop, more it keeps coming more, as though it has taken a vow. What? As though it has taken a pratignya, it has taken a vow. What is that vow? It will not listen to you, isn't it? It has taken that pratignya, it will not listen to you. Are you able to follow? Now, these thoughts generating and coming by itself, sometimes, most of the time, it's there in the mind only. Yeah. Whatever thoughts that runs in the mind, as long as you don't verbalize it, you are called a sane person. Prida? Rashekar. Definition of sanity in the world is, as long as you don't speak your thoughts out, you will be called as a sane person. What all thoughts comes in the mind, and if the person starts speaking it out, that person we call as insane. Correct? So sanity and insanity one difference in mind voice vella kekkudadu. Mind voice vella ketta, you become insane. Mind voice velila kekkame irundha sane. Srikanth. Penetrating capacity says, does that have any consequence? That's where it starts. Does all this have any consequence, or simply dies away like the boiled seed, dies away like the roasted seed? What is the difference between seed and a roasted seed? Life and death. In a roasted seed, nothing new will come. In the normal seed, you plant something will come, isn't it? In those days, I'm talking about 400, 500 years back. Okay, smuggling was always there. Even now we are smuggling. So in those days, what is the most difficult thing to smuggle? Live seeds. Burnt seeds, roasted seeds are allowed for exporting. Live seeds will not be allowed. Why? Because they will start growing it there. If they start growing it there, these fellows will lose their market. You know that? That's how they say coffee was smuggled into India. See, all the bad things got smuggled into India. All the good things exported from went out. That's how, how they smuggle. You know that? You know the story of coffee? How coffee came into India? Okay, at least you all drink coffee, no? At least that much gratitude you should have to find out how it came, no? I studied. I was studying. Why? How did it come? Because naturally it's not growing. How? Then it was such an interesting story. How they will be checked, and how that fellow brought. He was using a bamboo stick as the walking stick. He made that hollow and put those seeds inside that and brought out. That's how. We believe all the thoughts and the words that we entertain are like roasted seeds, which doesn't have any consequence, meaning nothing will come out of it. We think like that. That's why we are very comfortable, isn't it? Intellect says, is it so? It is not saying there is a consequence. Sir, please understand that. Whether there is a consequence or not is a conclusion that you come to. But first is what? Does it die away is it like the roasted seed that just dies away without producing anything? These kind of thinking is what is called as intellect, probing into the deeper aspects of life. Those who probe into the deeper aspects of life understood the subtler laws that govern life. Those who probed it deeper understood the subtler laws that govern life. They brought it out, they verbalized it, they started teaching us, and that is called Vedanta. That is called Vedas. They probed into the subtler aspects of life, which is not available for grosser perception. They probed, they penetrated. Having probed and penetrated, they understood what are the laws. Out of their infinite affection and love for us, they started talking about it. They started teaching it. That is called Vedas, Vedanta. Not what we spoke as religion 2 topics back. Please understand the difference. Not what we spoke as religion. That is separate, this is separate. Out of this law, some practices was given out for a specific period of time. Some practices are given out for a specific period of time, and those practices that is given out for a specific period of time is what is called as religion, culture, etc. Resaji, yesterday 1 hour discourse to Rudra on this. He is very thrilled. You should ask him. He was very thrilled. Oh, I didn't know. Who was there? Venkat was there, correct. Venkat na car lo ukkandi free getter. Correct. He was there when I was talking. You understand? This is the difference. Where those principles are given out a specific application. A specific application for a specific period of time, for a specific set of people is what is known as religion, culture, rituals, etc. That is why that culture keeps changing, that culture keeps changing, that religion keeps changing, but the law doesn't change. The law doesn't change. You follow? The law doesn't change. Intellect is concerned with those laws. Intellect is concerned with those laws. It's not worried so much about this. It's not so much concerned about these practices which have a limited utility, a limited application. Isn't it? If my grandmother was alive today, the way that my daughter is dressing up, she would have committed suicide. Every day she will commit suicide. The way that she's not walking around undressed. She is also wearing neat and cultured dresses only. So, but if my grandmother was alive today, she will, you know what she will tell me? First teach your daughters before teaching others. Look, she herself has no religion. Why? Because according to her, she is the most irreligious. It keeps changing. Are you able to follow? Something changes, something doesn't change. The intellect, the penetrative capacity will give you the flexibility, the adaptability, and you can keep growing. Minus the intellect, you will be stuck somewhere. That is what is called attachment to religion. Minus this intellect, it will be attachment, isn't it? Pilgrimage tour in this country in the past was kept only for the seekers of knowledge, not for entertainment. Today, pilgrimage tours is for spiritual excursion, isn't it? Spiritual entertainment. I went to Rishikesh, Haridwar, and Char Dham, Badrinath, Kedarnath, Haridwar, Manasarovar also. For what? Because you can go on, you saw Lord Shiva there. Huh? I don't know what they see, isn't it? Intellect says the purpose of this is to, in the past, the purpose was seeking spiritual knowledge. Ura ponada, you will meet one fellow and you will gain one knowledge because Zoom wasn't available. Yeah. If Zoom is available, no pilgrimage tour would have happened. So Madrasli, nobody is coming. Why will anybody go to Kashi and all that? But still, even today, people go. For what? It has changed. What is the change? What is the change? See, we are basically, when I say we means my father, my grandfather, and all are basically from the town, from the village where all these 9 planets temple. 9 planets temple. அதுக்கு சன்ஸ்கிரிட்ல எப்படி சொல்லணும்? அத டிவோஷனலா சொல்லணும். எப்படி சொல்லணும்? Navagraha temple, all within the radius of 15 kilometers only. From my place, 15 kilometers, all these temples. Even today, some of them are living there. I used to ask them every time I go, have you ever visited any of these places and all that? We didn't even know all this. Pilgrimage tour. Intellect will come and say, what? Intellect will come and say, what? Wait, what are you doing this for? Michael Jackson concert, if you dance, that is indulgence. In the bhajans, if you dance, that is bhakti. Michael Jackson concert, if you dance, that will be called indulgence. In the disco, if you go and dance, it is, oh my God, it is sinful. Naraka you will get. If you go and dance in disco, you will get Naraka only you will go to. But in bhajans, if you dance, mokshava, and everybody is dancing, isn't it? 3 hours of dance, you come out, so much of dvesha and hatred on the others, on the other dancers. What bhakti it is? Intellect will question all this. Are you able to understand? Intellect is not ridiculing that. Understand the difference between the two. Intellect is not ridiculing. Intellect questions. When intellect questions, it will appear as ridicule. When intellect questions, it will look like it is ridiculing. It will look like it is not wanting to obey any of these things. It looks like it is simply dismissing it as superstition. Intellect doesn't do that. Intellect says, what is the purpose? Does this take you to that purpose? What is the purpose? Does this take you to the purpose? This faculty in a human being is called intellect. And this intellect has to be developed. Yeah, first intellect, first we have to say what intellect is, then only we can talk about development of intellect. This is what is briefly known as the intellect. So to summarize all that, it is a function. The areas of operation differ. In relation to the world, it will be called as gross. In relation to the deeper penetrative aspects of life, it will be called as subtle. Gross intellect means that which deals and manipulates the elements. Subtle intellect means deals with the hidden aspects of life. Gross intellect deals with elements. That's why science is concerned about elements a lot. Element means that can be seen, that can be felt, that can be measured. All that can be seen, felt, measured is known as elements. Deeper than that is the laws of life, and intellect means concerned about that. So developing your intellect now is for what? Developing your intellect means you understand the deeper aspects of, you understand the deeper nature of life. And when you understand the deeper nature of life, you recognize the law. Once you recognize the law, you understand the law, you start obeying the law. When you start recognizing, understanding, and obeying the law, there is an inner maturity. There comes an inner maturity. That inner maturity is what is known as sannyasa vairagya. That one who has developed this sannyasa, one who has developed this vairagya, can probe deeper into God, Brahman, and finally reach the state. Are you able to understand the sequence? How intellect starts from here and helps us go right through. Therefore, this intellect has to be developed. It is not natural. This intellect has to be developed. So yeah, with this we conclude for today.
There is a clarification by you. It's posted. Congratulations.
Yes, Venkatachalam, சொல்லுங்க. Wait. Yeah, they will unmute you first. Yes, சொல்லுங்க.
You have mentioned about thoughts, and because ultimately intelligence or mind, everything is ultimately thoughts.
Yes.
And it is the vrittis, or that's what we have mentioned in the previous classes.
Yes.
But the reaction to the thought flows, or the reaction to what the mind captures, everything, all learnings come from the mind. But there is a direction the mind is given.
Yes.
Or the mind gives a direction to the senses, or to ignore the senses, or to go in a different way.
Yes.
It's happening because of our vasanas and accumulation of such knowledge, or the direction, overall direction. Is it because of our vasanas?
It is because of the intellect. It is not because of the vasanas. Vasanas simply a flow of thought, the mind.
Okay.
Remember that vasana means past.
Yeah.
Vasana means the past.
Okay. So it cannot have the intellectual.
Yes, it doesn't have that. Intellect means that which gives us a direction, which is of the present. So whenever you understand this, understand it as two separate things. Vasanas, thought, desires, all this is from the past. So there is a momentum that you are bringing in from the past. That momentum that you are bringing in from the past needs to be directed now. By itself, it cannot direct. See, if it is, if it can direct itself, if it can direct by itself, we have no problems at all. We can simply wait and it will direct itself. But the reality is what? It doesn't direct itself. It has to be directed. The directing faculty is called intellect.
So the function of the intellect is immediate direction giving, immediate analysis, reacting to what we see, what our senses perceive, and then giving a direction.
Yes. When it gives a direction is determined by the destination. When you are directing something, the direction is determined by what? It can be directed only in relation to the destination. So direction in relation to the destination, the goal. So in order to direct something, you need to know direction is a comma. It's not a full stop. When it becomes a full stop? Only when you say directed towards something. Destination. So it is the destination and the direction towards the destination. Akashat patitam toyam yada gacchati sagaram. The direction. The ocean is the destination. Ocean becomes a destination. For any drop of water anywhere in this planet, ocean is the destination. It will go roundabout or it will cut through. But what is clear first? That destination, which is what we call as the goal, the purpose. So when we say intellect directs, it directs towards a chosen path. It directs towards a chosen destination. First, I chose the destination, isn't it?
Yes.
I want to relocate to America and take a green card. Take that as an example. I want to go to America and take a, I don't know, green card, blue card, whatever card it is, isn't it? Green card I will take. That becomes becoming the destination. Everything is, all energies are directed towards that. So direction is always in relation to the destination, and the destination can be a short-term benefit or a long-term benefit or a permanent benefit. The results is of three: immediate result, future result, permanent result.
Okay.
Remember that. The result is of three. An immediate result. Sometimes the future result is sacrificed for the immediate result. Sometimes the immediate result is sacrificed for the future result. Distinct and different from the immediate result and the future result is what is called as
the
permanent.
Intellect.
A permanent result. So destination means these three. Destination is, broadly speaking, destination is only intended towards these three, manifests differently. Immediate benefit. What is the immediate benefit? The immediate benefit of eating the chocolate is what the child goes by. Ignoring the future consequences. So recognizing the future consequences of having become a diabetic and all that, you start controlling. You start giving up the joy of the chocolate. So at times there is an immediate benefit, there is a future benefit, and there is something called a permanent benefit. Intellect asks, in these three, what do you want? Ask yourself. Intellect will ask this question. There are these three: immediate, future, permanent. Of these three, what I want? In the classroom, permanent. Outside the classroom, instant. In the classroom, if I ask this question in the classroom, you will say permanent. As soon as the class is over, mind will say, they will keep talking like that only in the class. They are all mad people. They have nothing else to do. They sit and talk like this. Let us not get too carried away by like that. That's why we should always keep the class and the teacher and all at a distance. Why? Should not get. Why? Because it's safer for you. Silesh. That's why very good. Don't come. Hong Kong later and go. Don't come back. Only yeah. More the distance, more the safety. Don't come only. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes. So one question, in addition to the thoughts that are generated by the sensory perceptions,
Yes,
we have a separate stream of thoughts that are triggered by the intellect,
yes,
directing us.
yes,
So we have two streams of thoughts. One is a reception, another is how you react to the
yes,
sensory
yes.
input.
One is what you gather.
Gather.
One is what you gather, or another is that comes from your own past. It could be anyway.
Okay.
One is it comes from your own past. Like you close
Memory.
yourself up in the room, 4 walls, nothing, no stimuli triggering it. Mind will go into the past and it will keep digging it up and bringing it up again and again and again. So so there is a there is a continuous flow of thought, either triggered by the environment or it goes back into the memory and brings it. So there is one continuous flow of thought. This continuous directionless, purposeless flow of thought is called one flow of thought. Adu or per kudugunume. Mind simply a name is given to that. Mind or name kudutachu.
Okay.
Just a name, that's all. Mind is just a name. That's it. Doesn't mean anything. What this actually means is there is a flow of thought either triggered by something or the mind keeps
Generating.
pursuing, the mind keeps pursuing, reliving. Distinct and different from all this is a thought which is guided by the destination. And destination should be fixed by whom? Destination should be guided. Destination should be fixed by whom?
By the intellect.
By the intellect, taking the guidance of the Shastra. Destination should be fixed.
Yes.
Destination should not be fixed by you. If you fix the destination, what will you fix? If you fix your destination, what will you fix? In the same chakra of Ragadvesha only. So intellect, taking the guidance from the Shastra, fixes the destination and directs the mind in that direction.
And in the beginning, it is the pure Shraddha.
Yes.
That's what drives.
Yeah. In the beginning, it is the pure instant benefit that you get. Shraddha comes later.
Okay.
Beginning le Shraddha varadu. In the beginning, the immediate instant benefit that you get brings about an interest in that. And then over a period of time, you lose all that and mature into Shraddha.
Okay.
You don't start with Shraddha. Shraddha comes somewhere in between. The starting point is always
immediate benefit.
Starting point is always an immediate benefit. Either it helps you to deal with some problems, or it's like, wow, how logical it is. How you may not necessarily have a problem. It's not that everybody who study Vedanta must have a problem. You may not have any problem, but wow, just the knowledge, the pure knowledge itself is so inspiring. Either way it can be.
Okay.
You follow?
Yeah.
Either way it can.
Thank
so
you.
it will not start with Shraddha. Shraddha requires an effort.
So it is initially it is an intellectual understanding.
Yes. Initially, it is an intellectual understanding. Over a period of time, matured into a flavor is so different. The quality is very different. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
With this, we conclude for today and we continue next week.